Hey guys, what's up? Degree here, back again with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to analyze my round 3 game against Mr. BA. And I played black this game because I played white in 2 previous games, and I had a disappointing draw. Not disappointing as in I got the draw. I was really happy I got the draw, but I wasn't so happy like the way I played that game because I played the opening horribly, and I just held on by a thread to get a draw. So I was looking to sort of improve my play. And this opponent was higher rated, so with the black pieces, I wouldn't be too disappointed with the draw. But I was definitely trying to go for the win in this game. So he ended up playing e4. I played c6. He played d4. I played d5. I played the Caro-Kann. He played e5. I played bishop f5. This has all been played many times before, over 10,000 times. And here he played knight f3. I played e6. This has still been played around 8,000 times. And here he played bishop e2, which is the short variation, or actually knight f3 I think was the short variation. Yeah, so that's knight f3 was the short variation. I played e6, bishop e2. He's just developing his pieces here and just getting ready to castle. So his move makes sense. I played knight d7. Knight d7 is the main line, and during the game I did know some bit of theory about this. Not too much. I just know that you're supposed to put your knights on these squares and then either play h6 or c5. But now I've looked at the line a little bit more extensively and I know what to do. So he castled, which is the most played move, and I played 97. Just an important thing to note in these things that you don't want to play c5 right away because I'm not saying he wins immediately if you play c5. c5 is actually the second most common move. c5 is not the best because of c4, and he's not going to have any isolated pawn. He's just going to have a strong pawn on e5, sort of restricting my pieces, and he'll have this direct diagonal to my king. Well, I will get this diagonal to his king, but this diagonal isn't as important as this light square diagonal because my bishop outside of the pawn chain can no longer come here and help this diagonal while his bishop can't. So if I were to play c5 here, I'm most certainly he would play c4, and I just I've played it online, and it's just not the most comfortable thing for me, so I played 97, which is the main line. And here I played 97, which is, again, still the main line. And so here he has to think about developing. So he doesn't really want to move this bishop anywhere, because then I'll play queen b6. Like, if he moves his bishop here, I'll probably play, like, queen b6 and just attack the pawn. But maybe not immediately, but he'd have to think about that, right? And actually, in master play, bishop g6 is played here. Just making way for something. I don't really know what bishop g6 does, but he ended up playing knight b2, which is the main line. Another move you can play is knight h4, just grabbing the bishop pair. And I didn't really like this move at all, because I thought I'd immediately have c5. And this has all been played along lots of times before, but now I would play bishop e4 here, and he'd play knight d2, and after knight c6, captures. I'd just have a really lots of pressure on his position. And here actually he's supposed to play g3 because his knight's hanging. So I think I would have a really good position here, even though I'm down my bishop pair. But he played knight b to d2 because that's the main line, and it just makes a lot of sense. He wants to put his knight on b3 where it's again defending this guy. And this bishop, it's not really wanting to go anywhere because of queen b6, and also just it won't really be doing a lot, so it doesn't really matter at the moment that he did this. So here the most common move is h6, just preparing to meet knight h4 with bishop h7, but I deviated from the main line. You can also play knight c8, just opening your bishop, but I played c5. And so here you're probably supposed to play c4, which is what he did, but another interesting line was after here. I was thinking something like this would happen, knight b3, and I was thinking this position is sort of double-edged, and I wanted to get a double-edged position after what happened in last game. I think if I actually take here immediately, then Then I have two central pawns, and I think I should be slightly better, but maybe I'm not so much better because he plays c4. Or he can't actually even play c4 because I just take with the knight. Yeah, so after takes here, I think I'm likely better, or maybe in bishop g4. So that was another line to consider. But generally, you don't want to take away from the center. So he played c4. As I said earlier, c4, he's not going to get any sort of weak pawns, except for maybe this pawn. But what ended up happening in the game was really good for me. So here it's around plus 0.7 apparently after c4. So I took here. He took with the knight. And actually, this is all still to this point been played before. I don't really understand. It's saying the engine says +1 here, but I don't really understand really where white is getting any compensation. So after takes here, he ended up taking here. I took with my queen, and here the engine, a few minutes, these are all like the engine's favorite moves, but engine's saying plus 1.3 here, and then after I take on e5 and he takes here, now it's plus 0.3, and those are both the engine's favorite moves, so, the engine can't really decide this position. So here he took on f5, and yeah, I think his last chance to get any advantage here was either here or knight b5 looking at this square. Engine saying queen a4. Queen d7 would likely be played in like a bishop b5 and a knight here probably, or maybe knight here. It'll at least be hard to castle for me. So this would be probably a more critical try to gain some sort of advantage, but he didn't play that in the game. He took on f5, which just allows me to activate my knight very easily. And now my knights are really good. And not only are my knights really good, but I'm actually up a central pawn. The only downside is that I don't have the bishop pair, and my important bishop that would be controlling this diagonal is gone. So he does definitely have a play in the engine saying minus 0.1, but at least I've managed to equalize, and I'm black in the opening. Most openings don't get equalized by move like 11. Usually white's still some amount of betterness. So you play queen a4 check, and here I think I played the only move. Knight c6. You don't really want to go knight d7 because when a rook lands on d1, which a rook is going to land on d1, it'll also be eyeing here. And also, my queen will really have nowhere to go if my knight's on d7. So I put my knight on c6. He played bishop f3. So here he should play knight f3 apparently, or knight b3, just allowing for rook d1, but that's hindsight, I guess. So he played bishop f3. He's attacking my queen and the pinned knight. I played queen d7, so that my knight's no longer pinned. And he played knight b3, just looking to put his rook on d1. Notice that he doesn't really want to play knight c4, because if he plays knight c4, then I'll play rook d8, preventing here. While in the game, if I were to play rook d8 here, saying he just takes here. I don't actually get how this is different, but maybe I retain a little less of advantage there. So I played bishop d6. I just wanted to castle quickly. He played rook d8. Here he's threatening knight c5. And he's also threatening bishop f4 to put a lot of pressure on this pin. So I played queen c7, just regaining the pin, but it's actually fine in this moment because I was getting out of another pin. And so here, if we look at the position, just a quick evaluation. My knight's pinned, so this knight is worse than this knight probably. This bishop is 100% better than this bishop. So I have one superior piece, and this bishop is better than my knight, and this knight is better than this knight, and this queen is worse than this queen, and this rook is worse than the rook. So he has three better pieces than mine. I have one better piece than his, and so he basically only has two pieces better than mine. So then, if he only has two pieces better than mine, for one pawn, I don't think that's really worth it, and that's why the engine also says it's minus 0.5. Here it's saying he should play g3 or h3 just to prevent the threat of taking here. But he played knight a5, and I'll give you a few seconds to find the move I played here. The most obvious move might not be it. So here, actually, I decided to just castle, get my king to safety, and get active pieces, because if he trades off this guy for this guy, I said that's a good trade for me. The other move, the what I thought was a greedy move, was rook c8, which just protects the pawn. But it would end up being like what happened in the game. He would take here, and I would take here. So rook c8 is definitely a move, but rook c8 seems like a greedy move where it just, I don't know how to explain it. Rook c8, it's kind of like it's not just getting out of the pin. It allows the same idea, but it's just not getting out of the pin. So it makes the idea not as powerful, while castles makes the idea a lot less powerful. And actually, after rook c8, let's see this. It's minus 0.5. Oh, sorry, it's minus 0.3, and after this it's minus 0.3 as well. So actually, the engine thinks they're equal, but here he should just take here, and I would take here, king h1, and b takes here. And in case you're worried about any g3 things, the engines actually, I think, just tell me to take like this, and I have 4 connected passed pawns against 1 bishop. So I don't think that's any good. Wait, engine actually thinks he's better here. G3. Do I have a better move than that? So bishop x, fx. Oops, I just dropped my mouse. My bad. Sorry about this. Dropped my mouse on the ground because I was holding it. My bad. So it's saying knight x. Saying queen x is also possible. I think maybe I'd take with the queen then. And queen g4. But we didn't end up going into this line. I think this line I was prepared to take here. And also, in worst case scenario, I could just take here and do this. Like let's think he'd do this and I'd do this. And he'd just have to go back, and then I could take and come back. So that's the worst case scenario. I'd just be up a pawn. But he ended up taking on b7, which was my whole kind of idea with castling, was hoping he'd take on b7, and no longer would any, if I take here, any sort of check come. But I'm not actually going to take there in the game, as you'll see. I took on h2, he played king h1, and here I actually played a very, very, very good move. And it might not be obvious at first, but after a few maybe 20 seconds, you should probably have the move in your mind. It was 95. And so the first thought about 95 is, doesn't that just hang your bishop? Because your queen's no longer defending your bishop, but it doesn't hang your bishop, because after takes here, I'll take here with check, you'll take, and I'll pick up the knight, and I'll be up a pawn, and you'll have a ruined double pawn structure. I can show you what I'm talking about. Takes. Oh, he's in check. Oh yeah, he's also in check from the queen. So he's just getting mated here actually. And check, king f4. And yeah, the engine says there's mate there somewhere, so he can't actually take the bishop. I'm sure I'd find the mate in the game somehow. And so the other idea is that he doesn't really want to play this move at all, because I have knight g4 threatening here. And also probably just going here and mating him. So there's a lot of threats here. So he played probably the best move, I think, which is bishop f4, which I didn't actually see when I played this move, but here it's still -2 for black, so I managed to get some sort of advantage against Mr. BA. I took on f4, he took on f4, so here the engine's saying I should play queen b6 with the idea that takes, and here he just has again the ruined pawn structure, and after king g2, I'm just going to pick up actually another pawn, and something like this would happen, and here he'd have active pieces, but it's not active enough to justify 2 whole pawns up in a ruined pawn structure, so queen b6 was probably a little tad bit better than what I did, but I took here, and he took with his queen, and I thought that this would help me. And so here I think I should just play f6 defending my knight and then play like queen b6, but I had the idea that I wanted to get my queen to b8, and if I do that immediately he just moves his knight and I lose my rook. So first I move my rook out of the way, and he played rook c1. Who can blame him? It just seems to skewer this. And here I can't take twice here because his queen's also defending it. So I go in with my plan to play queen b8, and here I'm just wanting to take. So he played bishop e4. Maybe he should take here first, but I don't think it really matters. So I took here because I have quite a space disadvantage, so I would like to exchange rooks. And also this rook on d1 is really being annoying and covering lots of squares that my pieces would go to, and it allows the knight to escape as well. So I took here, and here he can't take with this guy because, wait, why can't he take with this guy? Oh yeah, knight g4, threatening mate and threatening to win the rook. So he took with the rook, and I played f6. So f6 just defends my knight. I could have also actually played h5 with the idea that knight g4, threatening here and sort of skewering the queen to the mate, so we'd have to exchange queens, and I'd be up a pawn, so that would be good for me. But I played f6 because I had a certain idea in mind, which you'll see in a second. And so here, it weakens this pawn, but you can't really attack the pawn anytime soon. And if you were to take here, well then I would take, and your knight's still hanging, so you lose a pawn. So in lots of lines, this pawn is going to just be a liability because whenever this knight moves, I take it. So he just played b3. And also, I'd have to mention that he was quite low on time here. He was around, actually, 8 minutes and 45 seconds. I have the exact time written down. And so here I played my whole idea with the move f6, not only to to protect my knight, but also to play g5. And here after this move, he just blundered the game away because of a simple sort of thing. But his best move is queen h2, which just covers the h2 square, so that after when I play knight g4 eventually, it's no longer threatening mate because he can just take the queen. But even in that case, he'd still just go into the endgame down a pawn. But he played queen d2, which just loses immediately to knight g4. I'm threatening mate. I'm also it's not really that easy to defend the mate, honestly. So the few ways you might think about it is this guy here, king g1. But if he goes king g1, then I play queen h2 check. He plays here, and I think that I have knight here. I don't know if this is, oh, the engine's saying that I just have queen h1, king e2, and queen h4 threatening some sort of discovery. Oh, queen h4. Queen h4 threatening mate, and well, it's a long convoluted line, but eventually it leads to me winning some sort of piece and going into an endgame. But here you play g3, and I'll give you a few seconds to find why g3 just loses immediately. I will admit that I managed to miss it in the game because he was around 6 minutes here, or sorry, 4 minutes here, so I was just playing really fast. I had around 50 minutes here. By the way, the game was 2 hours plus 30-second delay. So I had 50 minutes and he had 4 minutes, and that generally happens to me when my opponent gets low on time. I sort of get antsy and I start playing too quickly. So here it's if you found the move is knight takes on f2. And the idea just simply being that he kind of has to take the knight or he loses the bishop, so he'll take here. I'll take here, here, and just takes here, and I have 4 connected pass pawns. And he has 1 pawn in exchange for that. And so I'm up 3 pawns here, and the engine's saying -8 because my pass pawns are just really fast, and my king's just really safe behind my pass pawns. There's kind of no way for him to infiltrate. So I missed that in the game. It's quite a simple tactic, I think. And he told me in the game that he was just ready to resign the instant I played that move. I played probably an okay move as well. Just saying also knight takes on g3 wins, because after takes, you're threatening here, and you're also threatening a lot of things there. So it would be really, really hard to defend. And so I played h5, which goes from -9 in this position to -0.7, but again, it's basically impossible to defend here. My threat is just to play h4, and then takes and play like king f7 and this guy here, or something like that after h5. Actually, no, I just have mate if he takes, so my idea is just to play h5 and he can't take. So here you would have to play king g1, and then I'd play queen e5 or knight e5. Either one would probably work. Knight e5, I think, sort of threatening here if the bishop moves. So, but he didn't play queen g1. I think he was around 4 minutes at this point, so he played bishop x f5, and it's a simple one-move tactic. I'll give you maybe 5 seconds to find it. Oh, I accidentally hovered over the move. But if you found knight x f2, you are actually incorrect, because that's not the winning move. That is a move that I thought might have won during the game, but I ended up playing the move that wins in around like 30 seconds. Just take here. And surprisingly, in this position, he resigned, because he's not only going to be down 2 pawns, but he's not only going to be down a pawn, but he's also just going to be down a piece. Here he would play king g1, and I would just take the bishop. So a nice win for me in round 3 against a higher rated opponent, rated 1940. I have to mention though that this guy had not done very well. He lost to a 1400 in round 1, and he beat a 1500 in round 2. So he wasn't doing too well, playing definitely far below his rating range. But I managed to beat a higher rated player, so I was pretty happy. So that was the end of round 3. And so in round 3 I won. So now I have 2.5 out of 3, which was a very good result for me, considering that 2 of my opponents were higher rated than me, and 1 of my opponents were lower rated than me. So 2.5 against 2 higher rated and 1 lower rated is a very good result. So that's the end of today's video, guys. If you liked the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. And goodbye.